Chapter 15, The Darkest Hour. The heavy atmosphere in the command room was suffocating, thick with the realization that their every move had been anticipated. Zara's words echoed in Lyra's mind, the weight of them pressing down on her like a physical force. They knew we were coming. The truth of it was undeniable now, and it twisted in her gut like a knife. Dr. Thorne, usually so composed, was visibly shaken. His hands trembled slightly as he finished connecting the resonance disruptor to the alien machinery. The device, once their beacon of hope, now felt like a ticking time bomb, a tool that could either save or destroy them. "We're running out of time," Thorne muttered, his voice strained. "We need to activate it now, or everything we've worked for will be lost." Lyra nodded, her eyes hardening with resolve. "We can't afford to hesitate. The longer we wait, the more they'll tighten the noose around us." General Maddox, his usual calm demeanor fraying at the edges, stepped forward. "The plan remains the same. We'll activate the disruptor and strike the command center. If we can dismantle their leadership, it might give us the edge we need." But doubt lingered in the air, unspoken but palpable. If the aliens had known their plans all along, how could they trust that the disruptor would even work? Were they walking into a trap, playing right into the hands of their enemies? Lyra exchanged a glance with Zara, who was unusually silent. His eyes were dark, full of unspoken thoughts. She knew he was weighing their options, considering the risks, but they were running out of alternatives. They had no choice but to move forward. "Let's get this done," Zara finally said, his voice steady but cold. "If they're watching, let them see us fight." With a curt nod from Maddox, Thorne activated the resonance disruptor. The machine hummed to life, emitting a low, vibrating pulse that sent a shiver through the air. The ground beneath them seemed to tremble, as if the very earth was reacting to the power being unleashed. The pulse spread outwards, an invisible wave that disrupted the delicate frequencies on which the aliens relied. The lights flickered, and for a brief moment, it felt as though the world itself was holding its breath. And then, chaos erupted. The alien machinery around them began to sputter and die, its connection to the command center severed. Alarms blared, a harsh, discordant sound that grated against their ears. Maddox's voice cut through the noise, barking orders to the troops. "Move out. Hit them hard and fast." Lyra and Zara led the charge, their weapons at the ready as they surged forward. The corridors were a maze of flashing lights and echoing alarms, but they knew their path. They had studied the layout of the command center, memorized every twist and turn, every hidden corner. The resistance soldiers moved with precision, their training evident in the way they cleared the hallways, taking out alien guards with swift, lethal efficiency. The disruptor had done its job, the aliens were disoriented, their coordination shattered. But the further they pushed into the heart of the command center, the more they felt the weight of the enemy's presence bearing down on them. Lyra's heart pounded in her chest as they reached the central chamber, where the alien leaders were said to reside. The doors were massive, reinforced with layers of alien technology that glowed with a sickly, pulsating light. "This is it," Zara said, his voice low but fierce. "No turning back now." They set the charges, their movements quick and practiced. The plan was simple: breach the chamber, take out the leaders, and dismantle the command structure. But simplicity did not mean ease, and they all knew the risks. The doors blew open with a thunderous explosion, and they charged inside, weapons raised. The room was bathed in an eerie green light, emanating from the central console where the alien leaders stood. They were taller than the others, their forms more defined, their presence exuding an aura of control and malice. Lyra didn't hesitate. She fired her weapon, the energy beam cutting through the air towards the nearest leader. But before it could strike, the leader raised a hand, and the beam dissipated, absorbed by an invisible barrier. "They're protected," Zara shouted, his voice barely audible over the din of battle. The alien leaders moved with terrifying speed, their forms blurring as they evaded the resistance fighters' attacks. But Lyra and Zara were relentless, pressing forward, their focus unyielding. In the midst of the chaos, Lyra's eyes locked onto the central console. It was pulsing with energy, the heart of their operation. If they could destroy it, they could cripple the aliens' control over their forces. "Cover me!" Lyra shouted, charging towards the console. Zara and the others provided cover fire, drawing the aliens' attention as Lyra reached the console. She set the charges, her fingers moving with practiced ease despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. But as she finished, a cold, malevolent presence washed over her. She turned, her breath catching in her throat. One of the alien leaders had appeared behind her, its eyes glowing with a sinister light. Time seemed to slow as the alien raised its hand, a bolt of energy forming in its palm. Lyra braced herself, knowing she couldn't dodge in time. But then, with a sudden, blinding flash, the alien was thrown back, its form disintegrating into nothingness. Lyra blinked, trying to process what had just happened. It wasn't until she saw Zara, standing with his weapon still smoking, that she realized he had saved her. "No time for thanks," Zara said, pulling her to her feet. "We need to get out of here." They ran, the charges ticking down as they made their escape. The corridors were filled with the sounds of battle, the resistance soldiers pushing back the alien forces with everything they had. And then, as they reached the exit, a deafening explosion rocked the command center. The ground shook, and a wave of heat and debris washed over them. Lyra and Zara were thrown to the ground, the force of the blast knocking the wind out of them. When the dust finally settled, Lyra pushed herself up, coughing as she tried to clear her lungs. The command center was in ruins, the alien leader's command shattered. But the battle wasn't over yet. Zara helped her to her feet, his expression grim but determined. "We did it. But there's more to come." Lyra nodded, her resolve hardening. The aliens had underestimated them, and now, they would pay the price. The fight was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, Lyra felt a glimmer of hope. They had struck a blow against their enemies, but the war was still raging. And they would see it through to the end, no matter the cost.